guys, it's Al. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reacting to some beef farmers TikToks. Last time I did a video like this, it was reacting to dairy farmers TikToks, but I wanted to do another reaction style video for you guys because these farmers, they just keep getting worse. They think that they're showing their lifestyle and like showing the public like how they live, like how it's so normal, and like showing them where their food comes from, which I guess they are, but they're trying to normalize certain behaviors that are just not very normal, especially to the general public who hasn't been in this industry their entire life and who isn't desensitized to, you know, animals and raising animals and having to send animals to slaughter. So I have to give a disclaimer though, I do not know any of these farmers personally. I don't have anything against these farmers personally. I do think that what they're doing in these videos is wrong, and it is animal exploitation. No matter how well the animals get treated, they are still seeing the animals as a product for money at the end of the day. They want to care for them so their wallet is not harmed. If they don't care properly for the animals, then their product, which is the animals, will not be up to the standard that they need it to be able to sell the meat. However, they don't do all this love and care out of love and care. They do it to protect their paychecks. I think it's important to create awareness in the general public's eye about how some of these behaviors are just so not okay, and this is blatant exploitation of a sentient being. So without further ado, let's get into the first video. Okay, so I'm gonna be looking at the TikToks down here on my phone, so if you see me looking down here, that's what I'm doing. The first TikTok is of a veal farmer, and she's talking about the baby moos. She likes to call them the baby moos, the baby cows.
Part 2 of my veal moo tour. If you guys want to learn more about veal, click back just one TikTok or the playlist below. They go from the calf nursery you see here to the finished building, where they're housed in group pens, anywhere from 2 to 5 moos a pen. This is the barn calves will call home until about 6 months of age or 500 pounds when the moos are ready for market.
So they're going to be living in these tiny little pens where they don't even get a pen to themselves, indoors, until 6 months of age or 500 pounds, which is when they go to slaughter, and she's about to say that. So this is their existence for 6 months until they die. That is horrible. And we're just normalizing it and talking about them, like giving them pet names, calling them moos, and, you know, using this happy, cheery voice to talk about their life when it's literally such a horrible existence. This is not the way that these animals should be treated. They are literally a commodity to this woman. So let's keep going.
Calves you see here still have to put on about 150 pounds before they reach market weight, so they still have quite a bit of growing to do. You'll notice
It says, veal is not from baby moos. Girl. They are 6 months old. That is a baby. I don't care how big they are. They might look like adult moose by the time that they go to slaughter, but they are only 6 months old. That is a baby cow. Let's look up when cows are adults. This comes from beefcattleextension.org, and it says, it's talking about female cows, but it goes for male cows as well, I'm sure. And it says, usually about 2 years of age, she's called a cow instead of a calf. So we're talking about 2 years old is when they're actually an adult. And she's saying that veal is not from baby moose. I'm sorry, but 6 months is giving baby moose, or at least like teenager moose. And I hate that we're calling them moose right now because that's just like a yucky pet name that she's using for her commodity. Anyways, so she's lying. But let's keep going.
In the calf nursery. Take note, there's not a light bulb on in this facility. All this light you see is naturally coming in from the curtains on the side of the building. The curtains provide the same function as the orange and white vents you guys saw in the nursery. They open and close to help control temperature as well as ventilation, keeping those moose comfortable in any climate, preventing the dust, snow, wind, or rain from coming in on top of the calves. This whole barn was designed for calf care and comfort, and you can see that with every little feature I'm about to show you.
This whole barn was designed with calf care and comfort. So they're laying on slatted floors, so their piss and shit goes through the floor. It's exactly what that's for. That sounds like a comfy bed. Who wants to sleep on a slatted floor tonight? Not me. No, I don't think it's designed for calf comfort. And she's booping them on the nose to like be all cute for the TikTok, but like, think about what she's going to do to these calves when they turn 6 months old. Think about it. She puts them on a truck and she sends them to slaughter and then gets the money from their body parts. That is gross. Okay, let's keep going.
Including the fans on the ceiling, the heaters on both sides of the barn, the vents on the ceiling that open and close to allow any hot, steamy air to escape. And again, we see that comfort floor that really allows that urine and manure to drain down and away from them calves. Because the moose are so big, they're fed in these troughs rather than the buckets you saw in the nursery. They'll have all this grain eaten up by chore time tonight, freeing their trough up to drink their milk out of. Something I found very interesting is they sort these calves off by size, very much like most farmers when pairing moose in group pens. But they also monitor drinking speeds to ensure every calf gets the right amount of nutrition and doesn't overdrink and short a pen mate. After talking with the herd nutritionist, he did inform me that if they have one calf that's a bit more of an aggressive drinker, they will move him to another pen with other moose that match his demeanor and drinking speed to ensure all calves get their fair share. There's a lot of misperception out there about the veal industry. So much misinformation being spread. If you guys have any questions that I have not addressed in this video, do not be shy. Drop them below. As always, guys, eat your beef guilt-free and have a great day.
She says, eat your beef guilt-free and have a great day. But I'm sorry, I think you should feel a little bit guilty about sending a 6-month-old animal who lived its entire existence indoors, and then sending them to slaughter at 6 months old, and then making money off their body parts. I'm thinking we need to reframe how we're conceptualizing that, because I don't think that should be a guilt-free process. Okay, so this is a farmer who is about to send her cows to slaughter, and the caption is "The Day I Hate." So let's watch this one.
So this is the part I hate the most. I raised them up, I fed them, I earned their respect and their trust. But the day comes where you gotta put them in the trailer.
So you raised them, you fed them, you earned their respect, but the day comes that you have to put them in the trailer because these animals are your paycheck. You don't have to do anything. You could keep the cows alive if you wanted to, but because you care more about money than a sentient being's life, you feel like you have to put them in the trailer. I get that this is this woman's job and she clearly thinks that this is how it has to be and this is just how it has to happen and cows have to go to the slaughterhouse, but ultimately she's choosing to be in this profession. She's choosing to send the cows to slaughter, and if she hates this part so much, then why is she still doing it? It just doesn't really make sense in my mind. I know that this is her paycheck, but why are we finding money in the exploitation of another sentient being and sending these innocent beings who you have gained the trust of and have been feeding and taking care of off to their death? Would you ever do this to your pet dog? Even if they were suffering, would you ever send them to a slaughterhouse? No, you wouldn't. Even if you were gonna make a couple of grand off of their body parts, would you send your dog to slaughter? No. This is the complete nonsense that we have assigned different animals, different values in our society. It makes absolutely no sense that we're doing this. It is so harmful to assign a value to one animal and a different value to another who share a very similar amount of sentience and consciousness.
The difference is, I guess you could say, is I know where my meat comes from, and it ain't from no damn grocery store and I know what they were fed, and I know how they were taken care of. So
she kind of excuses this by, well, she excuses her behavior of sending these cows that she has created a connection for off to slaughter by saying, well, at least I'll know where my meat came from and at least I'll know what they ate. But girl, you could not eat meat. You will survive without eating meat. So yes, you will know where it came from, and yes, you will know what they ate. It's either have meat where you didn't know where they came from and didn't know what they ate, have meat that you raised yourself and do know what they ate and do know where it came from and whatever. But you do have a third option, and the third option is not cause any suffering or harm at all to these sentient beings who don't deserve to die. And I personally think we should take the third option here. She's like acting like she like has to do this and it's so horrible, but it just is how it has to be. But no, you don't have to send anyone to slaughter. So anyways, I just thought this was really interesting because it shows this emotional disconnect that farmers have, that they feel deep down that they don't want to send their animals to slaughter, and they've created such a strong bond with them, especially like smaller like family farms, but then they make an excuse that like they just have to do this so they know where their meat comes from and they know what they ate. But you could choose the third option and be vegan. Okay, next video.
Y'all, I try to get along with everybody, even if they're different to me. I don't care if you're a Biden supporter, Trump supporter. I don't care if you're LGBTQ or, you know, that's your business. I don't care if you're black, white, blue, red, yellow, or one-eyed, one-horned, purple people eater. As long as you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. I don't care if you got tattoos all over you and you look like you fell face first into a tackle box. That ain't none of my business. But I'm just going to tell y'all right now. If any of y'all invite me over for a cookout this summer and y'all serve me an Impossible Burger, I'm probably going to give you a cussing and then whoop you.
He just said, I'm probably going to give you a cussing and then whoop you. Now let's see what he says after this.
And before y'all vegetarians jump on me, I don't care if you're vegetarian or not, but don't call something made out of plants a burger. See, I'm for the original plant-based meat. You know, the one that stands on four hooves, got a long tail that swats flies all summer, eats grain and grass, and when it gets to his finishing weight, they ship him off to slaughter. Beef, the original plant-based meat.
Beef is not plant-based meat. Beef is a slaughtered animal body part that you are choosing to call food. These farmers get so offended when vegans call their burgers burgers, but you're actually calling a innocent dead animal's body parts a burger. It has nothing to do with the actual food. It's just what it's made out of. It's just a describing factor. They get so offended when we call plant-based meats burgers or plant-based chicken nuggets, you know, like they get so offended by vegans using their words, but then again, they call peanut butter butter, but it's not really butter. So I don't really understand where the anger towards vegans using their words came from. The meat industry doesn't own the word burger or hot dog or chicken nugget or anything like that. They think they do because it's how it's always been, but just because something's how it's always been does not mean it's correct to then use the word how it's always been used. Have you ever gone to the grocery store and accidentally picked up an Impossible Burger instead of a beef burger and you really wanted a beef burger? Have you really? No, you haven't. This doesn't come from consumer confusion. No consumer is getting confused and accidentally buying almond milk instead of regular milk. What they really want is to gatekeep their words in their industry and have any excuse to make it harder for plant-based products to come to market because it's a threat to their industry. So that's really where this anguish is coming from. And he says, I want to just go back and address when he said, I will cuss you out and give you a whooping. I think that's what he said.
I'm probably going to give you a cussing and then whoop you.
I'm probably going to give you a cuss and then whoop you. Imagine being so offended by an Impossible Burger that you want to cuss someone out and whoop them. It's giving snowflake energy. Sorry, had to say it. Okay, let's keep going. All right, the next video is a farmer who just finished trying to castrate a bull, which if you don't know what that means, it means basically removing their balls in order to make them not fertile anymore. And so how this is usually done is by banding. So they'll wrap a rubber band so tight around the animal's scrotum that it literally ends up harming the connection tissue so much that they fall off. And so there's a special device that they use to put the band on. It stretches the band and then they close it onto the animal's ball sack. So he was apparently trying to do this to this calf and it didn't go as planned. Let's get into this video.
Well, there he goes. Walking off with my goddamn banding tool still on his nuts. Was trying to get him banded and that mama cow was not having any of it. She is a bitch.
Okay. He's like, let me pull out the camera while my banding tool is still dangling off this poor animal's genitals. Because it's funny and I want to laugh at it and I know I'll get clicks and likes on this video. That's just gross. That's exploitative. And the fact that he was castrating in the first place is upsetting, especially through the banding process. But then the fact that he is so okay with just pulling out his camera and showing TikTok that the poor calf is walking around with it now dangling off of him is just so exploitative. And also, he calls Mama Cow, who's trying to protect her baby because you were touching it inappropriately and obviously probably causing it pain and distress. He's calling Mama a bitch for protecting her baby.
She is a bitch.
It just shows how little respect they have for these animals and for their maternal bond that they have. And it's just so disrespectful that we are doing castration in the first place. But the fact that he calls the calf's mom a bitch for trying to protect her baby is just so telling of how he actually sees these beings, these sentient beings. He doesn't regard their feelings at all, and he just doesn't care that that's her baby and that she has the right to tell him to f off if he's hurting her baby. It's just so messed up, so telling of the industry and how they view their animals. Okay, this next one is a doozy. This had me cringing so hard last night, so let's watch this one.
Go crazy and you don't know how to work cows.
Basically, this is the second guy you see is a guy reacting to a TikTok of a guy saying that if you use electric prods, which is this tool that you'll see throughout the video, to control your cows, it's the reason why your cows have behavioral problems, or are crazy, or aren't doing what you want them to do. And he's responding to that notion. So let's continue.
All right, guys, I can appreciate what this young man's trying to do here, but I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. There's a lot he hasn't seen, pretty wet behind the ears, it looks like to me, but we'll give him credit for trying. But he obviously hasn't been around an operation like this, cattle feeding operation like this, where, we're processing calves on the daily, running calves.
He makes assumptions about this guy, which is just so telling of this second man's character, that he's like, oh, you haven't seen an operation like mine. Obviously, you don't need them in your silly little operation, but we need them in my operation. So, anyways, this guy's demeanor just comes off so hostile to begin with.
That's true. You're gonna have to use your imagination because I don't have any livestock here in this alleyway, this setup here, because that would be cost. I'd have guys standing around, while we're processing. I don't want that because time is money. I pay these guys by the hour, not by the head. So time is money. And I'll get, when we're processing cattle, I'll have 10, 12, 15 guys, depending on the day. And probably, we've got all kinds of hot shot seeds. Springer McGrath's kind of my favorite. We got red, yellow, green, blue ones even. Like I say, these are my favorite. The one I like the most, for me anyway, is this trucker hot shot. Well, I call it trucker hot shot because truckers use them. That way they can stand way back and zap each one of them fuckers when they're loading them. And I like using them because
That way you can stand back and zap each one of them while you're loading them. He's referring to the calves, the calves that he's loading to wherever he wants them to be. And by saying zap those, he is referring to those babies that he is using an electric prod on to get them to do what he wants them to do. Just so you guys are clear. Let's keep going.
Ever happen to, and I don't because I'm the boss, so I'm at the head, running the chute. But in case I have to come back here, I want the long one because these things are flailing around, their legs kicking out and stuff. I don't want to get hurt.
These things are flailing around, their legs kicking out and stuff, probably because you're hurting them. And he calls them things. These are sentient beings, not things. Ugh.
I don't bounce back as good as I used to. So these guys are standing back here, and they got a hot shot in one hand and probably a beer in the other one, knowing most of these guys. But and I like to hire a couple kids too. They can't drink beer, so they're running 2 hot shots.
I like to hire a couple kids. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know what age he's talking about. Obviously, you can start working when you're like 14 with parents' permission, or 16 or something. Those are kids. But like, I like to hire a couple kids sounds wrong. Don't say that.
Get twice as many cattle work, guys. Like I say, I'm up at the chute because I'm the boss, and there'll be 2 guys here with hot shots at the chute. As soon as that head gate cracks, they're going to zap the sumbitch on the ass and get him out. We can't have calves standing around. I've watched a lot of Temple Grandin videos, and that's kind of what we model this after, but I've been doing this long before Temple was even a thing. But the way she explains it, and this is kind of the way I have my crew do it, and it seems to work pretty good for us. The first thing you're going to do, we're going to come up to a calf, and we don't train them to that noise. That takes time. We don't have time. But it's pretty damn hot. They get it figured out in a hurry, guys. They get it figured out in a hurry. You're gonna zap this calf on the nose a couple times as you go.
On the nose a couple times. Horrible.
Going up to him, you get his attention, Then as you're walking by, maybe hit him on the shoulder a couple times, and then in the ribs or whatnot. Then when you get to the back of him, you're gonna stick this under the tail. It's a little bit moist there, so makes pretty good contact. You're gonna light that sumbitch up and shoo! In the chute, this little sucker is gonna go.
You're gonna stick the prod in the poor cow's butthole, and it's gonna light that son of a bitch up, in his words, and he's gonna go and go exactly where you want him to go. That is so messed up. Anyways.
For a reason, if he does not want to go, there's 7 or 8 guys standing behind with hot shots doing the same thing to their calves. So they're gonna push that little sumbitch in, whether he wants to or not. And if for whatever reason he gets pretty stubborn, them other calves are gonna start jumping over top of him or crawling under him or whatever, and that calf will, eventually get it figured out. So
he's endorsing other calves trampling this calf that doesn't want to go where he wants it to go. Probably because you're hurting it and he's trying to get away from you. So he's supporting the trampling to have the cows learn their lesson.
It's the way it is, guys. And if tree huggers show up, we do have flags we use, guys. But anyway.
If tree huggers show up, like the vegans or the freaking animal rights activists, they have flags instead to show the cows where to go. Oh my god, how righteous of you to have your flags on standby for when the animal rights activists show up and you don't want to have your freaking electric prod out.
Done as quick as we can. Move on to the next thing. Send them guys home because they're on the clock. Leaves me a little more time to drink beer, guys. Eat beef. I hope this helps.
Anyways, this guy just casually drinking beer on the job, endorsing his workers to drink beer on the job while they're handling sentient animals. It's great practice. We can just see that this guy so obviously sees these animals as a paycheck and not as sentient beings like they are. He's doing this to calves. He's electrically prodding calves in all the sensitive parts of their body in order to get them to do what he wants them to do. In the speediest way possible, because time is money, and so he'll hurt these cows as many times as it takes in order to get them to do what he wants as fast as he wants. And that's just literally blatant exploitation. And if you don't believe that's blatant exploitation, maybe we need to go back, rewind, and see how he was talking about those animals. He was calling them he was calling them those things. They're not things, they're not they're animals, and they are sentient, and they deserve love and kindness just like you, sir, even though I don't really want to give you kindness right now. The last thing we're going to watch is some guy talking about the importance of grass-fed beef and trying to debunk all of the plant-based science that is being spread in the scientific community. So let's watch that. I know it's not a beef farmer, but it's someone supporting beef farming operations, so I figured we could throw it into this video.
You have to realize that the studies are observational and there's so much political bias going on right now regarding plant-based, away from real science.
So he's saying that plant-based science is politically charged, which is just untrue. And after this TikTok, I'm gonna pop up a few studies on the screen that is from the National Library of Medicine and the National Institute of Health that is actually in support of reducing red meat consumption in order to avoid heart disease, which is our #1 killer. So let's just see what this guy has to say.
And of course, the attack against red meat is big time. They put it in the same category as processed meat, and even of the same caliber as like sugar and refined sugars. So here you have this meat that we've been eating for, thousands.
Okay. So he's saying that red meat is under attack big time. Nobody is attacking you. But there is science that comes out talking about red meat and the potential harm it has, and it also has been classed as a carcinogen. And he also says here that they're trying to categorize it in the same category as processed meat. It's actually not categorized in the same category as processed meat. Processed meat is a category 1A carcinogen, which means it definitely causes cancer after a certain amount is consumed. And red meat is a probable carcinogen, which is group 2A, and it means it probably causes cancer after a certain amount is consumed. So they are not in the same category like he's saying here, and I don't really know what he's saying about sugars. Sugar is not considered a carcinogen, so I'm not really sure what he's trying to get at by sugars, but we're just going to disregard that part because this is about meat.
So here you have this meat that we've been eating for, thousands and thousands of years.
So this "we've been eating meat for thousands and thousands of years" is just an appeal to nature fallacy, where he's saying like, oh, like humans have been eating meat and it's natural and we've been eating meat for thousands of years and it's just part of how we evolved. But that doesn't make something morally correct. We can say our ancestors endured slavery for hundreds of years. Does that make that morally correct just because they did it for a long time? I don't think so. So no, we cannot use this argument that we've been doing it for thousands of years and it makes it correct and healthy.
It's just not just nutrient dense, but if you're consuming something that's grass-fed, grass-finished, you're getting a very high source of protein that can greatly help you, not just with your muscles, but repair the proteins overall in general. Sometimes people think about proteins as just muscle, but you have all the enzymes in your body, the different metabolic pathways are all protein. A good portion of your skin is protein. A good portion of your bone is protein. Your immune system is protein.
So he's saying here that red meat is such an optimal source of protein, and he's advocating that we need red meat to be able to repair all these things in our body. And I will agree, protein is an essential nutrient in our diet, and we have to consume protein in order to have all the essential amino acids that we need for muscle growth and all the things that he said. But we do not need meat protein, and this has been proven in so many studies. As long as you're eating enough food on a plant-based diet, you're gonna get enough protein. You're gonna get all 9 of your essential amino acids that build up the protein. If this weren't the case, then the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics would not be saying in their peer-reviewed journal that a plant-based diet is nutritionally adequate and healthful and even can help in preventing certain diseases in all stages of life, including infancy, pregnancy, adolescence, athletes, and old people. And if what this guy was saying, that red meat is essential for building certain proteins in your body and rebuilding certain muscles, then there wouldn't be as many long-living vegans as we see today. With that being said, I'm going to pop up some studies on the screen from the National Institute of Medicine and the National Library of Medicine. So as we can see, this guy has it all wrong. No, science is not trying to sabotage the meat industry. It is only right that these doctors and scientists are going to be promoting and putting out studies that are information that is vital for preventing our #1 and #2 killers, which is heart disease and cancer. I hope you guys learned something today and that you are kind of disgusted by some of this behavior, because I know I was. If you found anything shocking or you want to let me know that something really tugged at your heartstrings, please do so in the comments below. I really enjoy hearing from you guys, so please chat with me. I would love to know what you guys thought. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Al for the Animals out.